everyone, this is Melissa, and I'm the Talkative Introvert. Welcome back to my podcast, and thanks for coming back. It took me longer than I wanted to publish a new episode, but I wanted to make sure I was prepared and recorded enough episodes just in case I ran out of time or didn't have time during the week to do one. So I wanted to be extra prepared for this new season. Plus, I was trying to figure out new content and I was scheduling time with people so I don't run out of content. But if you have any ideas, please reach out. I'm open to talk about anything and with anyone. I'm definitely taking requests. So reach out to me on social media or you can email me. All that information is in the description, or you can check out my website at thetalkativeintrovertpodcast.com. I also uploaded all the transcripts from season 1 to the website, so you can go check those out. Those are really more for the Google SEO, if you know what that is. So basically to get you more recognized on Google searches and all that. So it helps with that kind of stuff, but it's there too if you want to go read the transcript or read it along with the podcast, whatever you want to do. I also have some old blogs up there, but I haven't written a new one in a while and I just don't have time. But when I do, I'll post a blog up every once in a while. Talking about the transcripts, I wanted to also apologize to the person who proofreads my transcripts. So if you listen to my previous episode, I mentioned that I hired someone on Fiverr to do the transcripts for season 1 because it was just taking me too long and I was just being really lazy anyways. But anyways, I referred to her as a guy. And I'm not sure why I did because she never told me her gender and it doesn't specify on her page on Fiverr either. So I don't know. I guess I just speculated, which is really awful. Don't do that. So I'm so sorry. I did not mean to refer to you as the wrong gender. And I'm not, I don't know why I thought you were a guy. I'm so sorry. But yeah, my apologies for assuming. That's really awful of me to do. I should never assume. I should always ask. But yeah, she did an awesome job. And honestly, if I'm really lazy, I'll probably just hire her because it's really cheap too. So I might just ask her to do future transcripts. But yeah, go check this out if you want to. So also I wanted to mention, there might be some background noise. I had to give Link something to occupy himself because I'm doing this in the morning. And if you're a dog owner, I don't know. I know dogs are different, but Link especially is very active in the morning and has a lot of energy and he always wants to do something and play. And I'm doing this episode before I even walked him or anything today because I wanted to get this done before my husband comes home from work because I don't like people listening to me when I do the podcast. But anyways, you might hear him playing with his ball. But yeah, anyways, so we are officially in season 2, new year, new season. Happy New Year. Happy belated New Year. I know this is coming out February, but happy, Chinese New Year. But anyways, what better way to start the new season than with an introvert related episode? So last year when the lockdown started, there were tons of memes left and right coming out about how this new lifestyle we have, this new, quarantine lifestyle with the pandemic and all. And the memes are all about how we're entering an introvert utopia. So my question for this episode is, will 2021 be another year for the introvert? So before I can answer that question, I have to address a common misconception. Does that sound familiar? If you're new to the podcast, I did a introvert misconception episode in season 1. So please go check that out. Anyways, I wanted to say that though introverts are most likely enjoying the quarantine, it's still not exactly utopia. Obviously, I'm not talking about the more serious issues like the virus itself, stuff like unemployment, homelessness, and all that, doom and gloom stuff. I'm just talking about the new picked up habits, work life, home life, socializing. and stuff like that. So none of the like serious stuff. I'm not going to get into that. But one of the misconceptions I talk about in that episode that I mentioned is that introverts hate people. And although that's probably true for some people, it's not true for all introverts. And just to remind everyone, in case you're new and haven't been following or don't know much about introverts and extroverts, introverts get socially tired the longer they are around people, whereas extroverts gain energy from being around people. So it's not that introverts hate people, it's just that they need to recharge or they need to take a break from being around people more often than an extrovert would. With that said, introverts still require human interactions every once in a while. This could be a tough time for someone who lives alone and works from home, for example. For me, the thing I miss the most are the holidays. My favorite time of the year is from October to January, because then you get Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's. And last year, I was just not in the Christmas spirit. We did take the Christmas decorations out, but we didn't put lights up on the house, and I was kind of lazy with the decoration. I wanted to do more and make more stuff, but I honestly just wasn't in the spirit, and it just kind of sucked because I have a separate like box for all my office Christmas decorations, and I didn't get to use that obviously because we're no longer in the office. And that's probably one of the things I miss the most about The Office is that starting from October, like I said, like The Office is decorated to the nines. You know, people decorate their cubicles Halloween themed and it's spooky and scary. And we also have contests on the like cubicle decorations and we have a costume contest. And then when that's done, you know, people start taking those down, but then they start adding their fall decorations and it's all Thanksgiving-y and with like the pumpkins and all that stuff. And then after that, it's Christmas and we even have a cubicle decoration contest for that as well. And it just kind of sucks that we didn't get to do that this year or last year, because people go all out for Christmas. Even people who don't celebrate Christmas just get into the spirit of it because it's just fun, you know, it's just something you do. It's a distraction from work too. It's not just your typical like beige wall cubicles that you see day to day. During the holidays, you get to see something new every month from like October to January, and you get to see like people's creative side, and it's fun and it's interactive, and we have potlucks after potlucks, and it's just such a great time, and people like get to share their favorite recipes, and it's just so much fun. And it just really, really sucked not getting to see that last year. And that's like the first time it really hit me, because the rest of the year was fine. But when I got down to the holidays, like I wanted to decorate and I wanted to see everyone's like cubicles and their costumes, and I wanted to see, you know, what people are going to do this year, because it's not always the same every year too. And there's some really creative people in The Office. So I really miss that. If I was a very emotional person, I'd probably be crying talking about it right now, but I'm not going to. This year, though, I do want to go all out and make my own decorations to make up for last year. I don't decorate for like Halloween or for fall, like Thanksgiving, like autumn related decor, but I do want to make some Christmas decorations. I kind of already have stuff in mind, but it's still early in the year, so we'll see when we get to that point if I still go through with making all those Christmas decorations. With that said, though, do I think 2021 will be another year for the introverts? Hell yeah. I definitely do think it will be another year for the introverts. It's, even though it was like emotional and kind of sad and I wasn't in the Christmas spirit, that's really just such a small portion of last year. And honestly, I still had my friends and family that I got to be around for Christmas, so it wasn't really all that bad. And this year I'm going to be more into it and decorate the house, and, that way I'm not so bummed out. But yeah, I think 2021 will definitely be another year for the introverts. For me, last year, I was able to accomplish things I haven't done before. I was able to refine some of my skills both personally and professionally. I took up a calligraphy course last year, and I was able to finish that class and practice my handwriting. I mentioned in a previous episode that I love crafting, specifically making greeting cards like birthday cards and whatnot. And I feel like each card just keeps getting better and better as I work on them and as I make new ones. Then from a professional standpoint, work has been really great. I got a lot accomplished in the last week of 2020 because everyone was out, air quotes, just not logged in. I was the only one on my team who was online. Since I didn't have a ton of meetings and wasn't being pinged on MS Teams, I got so much done. It was really nice. I was able to organize myself and prep for the new year. And it was it was amazing not having everyone online. And I really got to just focus on my work and focus on the things I wanted to get done. I feel that because of the common characteristics of introverts, employers are probably seeing better productivity from their introverted employees. Since we don't have that obligation to socialize and have small talk with our coworkers every single day, or at least, 5 days a week, I think we're able to allocate that energy more efficiently. And because we have more energy and we're not using up that energy to socialize, that leads to introverts being in a better mood, which leads to better quality work. We can better focus on what we're doing. There's less social anxiety for those who suffer with that. They get to work in the comfort of their own homes. When meetings end, they end. There's no chit chat afterwards. There's no, oh, how's it going? How's your weekend? How was blah, blah, blah? That happens every time. When I was in the office, when a meeting ended, people are walking out of the conference room. So there's that chatter afterwards, after just spending half an hour to an hour talking and collaborating. There's more talking afterwards with your coworkers. But now when a meeting ends, it ends. There's no chit chat afterwards, and you can just go straight back to work or working on whatever you're working on. And I love that. I love that I can reread my notes after a meeting and clean them up and really soak in the discussion, because sometimes I'll forget what we talked about and then my notes would be really crappy. And then I would have to reach out to someone to obtain clarification. And that's just added work, and I have to still talk to someone again afterwards. So the ability to have a meeting end and just have it end so I can recollect my thoughts after a meeting is amazing. I love that I can do that. However, at least for the job I'm in meetings constantly. So I don't always get that time after the meeting to recollect my thoughts. And man, I freaking hate it. In case you can't tell, I hate meetings. Man, I was so naive and dumb when I was younger, because it reminds me of a time when I was an intern. And I used to get so jealous of people going into meetings and I would be left behind because I was just the intern. So I didn't get to be a part of those discussions. And I used to think man, I want to be part of that meeting. I want to be in there with everybody else. And I want to know what they're talking about and be a part of it. But now I'm just anytime someone asks if we should cancel a meeting, my first reaction is yes. Even though we probably should have a meeting, I just instantly want to go, yes, please cancel the meeting. I wish I could go back to my intern self and tell her that they're not that great. Don't worry. Don't be sad or sullen because you're not part of a meeting. Because man, I remember when I got invited to my first meeting, and I remember thinking, yes, now I'm in the big leagues. Now I get to share my thoughts. I was so excited, you guys. So excited. My bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, early 20s, naive college girl just walking into that beige, sterile conference room. And I was just ecstatic. But now I dread it. I dread when I get a meeting invite and I'm just like, great. What is it now? What do we need to talk about now? Because we already have ongoing meetings or reoccurring meetings that are like either daily or weekly, and it's the same meetings every single week. And so on top of that, to add more meetings on other stuff, it's just so much. Like we have this one meeting that's daily, and I understand why it's daily because we need to make sure that we're always in the know of what's happening, like operationally. But man, it's just so annoying having to meet every single day. But it's fine. Not every week is the same. Some weeks I get to not attend so many meetings. But anyways, this probably pertains more to individuals who work from home. But I don't know how it is for other people. I feel like in other fields it might still be, good for introverts. Like there's one example I can think of is, at least for California, I don't know for other states, but a lot of stores in California have a store capacity. So I feel like maybe because there's less people going into the stores, I mean, I don't know how much of that is true, but I feel like that kind of helps with introverts who work in retail, for example, since there's a cap on how many people can be in a store at once. Plus, I feel like people are probably less inclined to go out. So introverts don't have to deal with as many customers, maybe. I'm not sure. I feel like, at least in the area that I live in, people are kind of just over it. They don't care about the capacity. So I don't know how much of that is accurate because people are also just caring less and less about the stay-at-home orders and all that stuff. Like I went to Costco, or we go to Costco for our groceries, and people definitely are not social distancing. There's definitely no cap because there's no line outside. There used to be a line outside and they would count how many people are in the store, but now they just don't care. They just let you in. They're just like, whatever, just go in. People aren't social distancing anyways. And people aren't really wearing their mask properly anyways either. So it's like, ugh. It's like going to Costco's a little, I don't know. We try to go during non-busy hours, but I feel like Costco doesn't really have that because it's busy no matter what time of day we go and what day. I don't know. Maybe, let's see. I'm trying to think of like non-office examples. And I guess restaurants, for example, may be great for introverts too, because parts of California are only doing takeout and no dining because of the regional stay-at-home orders. But that's been lifted actually by now. But I feel like waiters and waitresses now only have to deal with phone orders and online orders and not have to worry about small talk because people are just in and out, or maybe they deal mostly with delivery drivers like DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates, those types. So I don't know. I don't know how much about how it affects other people, like in other fields, because majority of people I know work from home. So, let me know. If you don't work in an office setting and you're not working from home, as an introvert, did the pandemic make your work life better or worse? Let me know on social media or email me. Because I'd like to know. Because obviously from an office standpoint, like I think it's great. Like I love working from home, but I wonder how it's like for people in retail or, in food service or practically anywhere else. Because I don't really know much about those fields or how it is now during this quarantine. Okay, so apart from work, I think another great thing that came out of this pandemic is the fact that there's less small talk. I feel like there's less people out, and then because we have to social distance and wear a mask, the amount of small talk has definitely decreased. Majority of the time when someone tries to say something to me, I kind of don't know what they're saying anyways because of the mask. So I think people just kind of stop doing that. And I know some people love the small talk and they love to interact with people, especially when they're waiting in line. But for the average introvert, that's just amazing. I like that people don't try to talk to me while waiting in line. I'd rather be in the silence than trying to small talk with some stranger I'll probably never see again. And then along with that, social distancing. I love social distancing. I hope this is something that's going to stay, to be honest. I absolutely hate when you're at the grocery and in line and someone just stands so close to you. So close that you can smell them, that you can feel their body heat. Like, that is way too close. And I hope social distancing stays after the pandemic because people do that. I don't know why they think it's okay to be in someone's bubble or why it's okay to be so close to someone that you can literally feel their body heat. That is, just talking about it and thinking about it grosses me out. I hate that. Please don't do that to people. Please don't stand so close to someone that you can smell them. Obviously, if someone has BO, you're going to smell them. But, the average person, if you can smell them and feel their body heat, that is way too close. I don't know anyone that enjoys that. All right. Anyways, changing subjects. So another great theme that came out of the quarantine last year was the fact that there were less social gatherings. So if you listen to my previous episode, then you know that I have a big family. More specifically, my husband's family is fairly large, and it's really hard for me to attend our family gatherings sometimes because it's very loud. There are a lot of people. It's hard to have a meaningful conversation with anyone because it's so loud. It's very stimulating and very exhausting. Then occasionally in the family drama, which I'm sure everyone deals with, small or big, that's just inevitable in every family. I feel like, it'd be amazing if you didn't have family drama. That's crazy. But anyways, at least in my experience, that's unfathomable. Anyways, these are common things at parties that can be very exhausting for the average introvert. And so when the pandemic happened, all the memes came out that now introverts have a real reason not to go to family gatherings or go to like any social gatherings. And with that said, though, I still spent like the major holidays with family, like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like Christmas Eve, I was with my husband's family, and Christmas Day, I was with my side of the family. And my side of the family is actually really small. I'm not really sure how it how it started, but our family gatherings just got smaller and smaller due to like personal reasons I won't go into. But it's just my mom, my brother's family, and my family. And it's really nice and quiet and relaxing, and it's really small. And it's completely different from Christmas Eve that I spent with my husband's family, which like included drinking, games, food, music, just a typical party, I guess. And then New Year's, I spent it with my side of the family, and we played board games. And my brother loves board games, and I actually really love board games. That's something we do almost every holiday, is play a board game. And so if you like board games, we played Millennium Blades. I'll look for the link and share it. Not a sponsor, obviously. But I just wanted to share it because it's a pretty fun game. It's what do you call it? A card collecting simulator, I think is what they call it, or a deck building simulator. I don't know. Look it up. But if you're like into board games, it's a really fun one. Anyways, so even though social gatherings haven't changed too much for me, there's definitely less than previous years. For the average person, it was probably less last year. And so for introverts, that was probably really amazing. That was probably really great because they didn't have to feel obligated to actually go to a social gathering, and they had like a legit real reason to not go to a social gathering. And there isn't that anxiety or anxious feeling when having to come up with a good enough excuse, because at least for me, like I don't like hurting people's feelings. And I'm sure a lot of people have to deal with that. And a lot of people probably don't understand why someone doesn't want to go to a social gathering. And so, with this pandemic, like, introverts have a real excuse. They didn't have to make up excuses. They really don't have to feel obligated to go anywhere. And they didn't have to worry about hurting someone's feelings because, they have a real reason to stay home. And so it was just, I'm sure it was really nice for everybody. And it's something that should be normal, though, like normalized when someone doesn't want to go to a party. But that's a different issue. And along with all that, too, Zoom and video calls replace physically going to parties, which is another great thing. So even though gatherings were decreased, people obviously still wanted to interact with other people and still keep in touch. But it's nice to have like the Zoom and video calls in replacement of physical parties, because people get to socialize in the comfort of their own homes. It's less anxiety inducing, and they typically don't last that long. So it's pretty great. Plus, it's nice that you don't have to drive home afterwards, like you're already home. You could just, go to bed afterwards, or just chill alone, or chill in the comfort of your own home and recharge from there and not have to worry about the dreaded travel back home. But yeah, I think social gatherings, like the decline of social gatherings and all that stuff last year, probably was really great for introverts, because I get it. I really truly get it. The biggest problem for me, like I was saying earlier, is just I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't like telling people no. And I feel so bad when I say no to attending an event with no excuse, because I want to simply stay at home. Even though, like, staying at home, the want or need to stay at home is, to me at least, a legitimate excuse, because your energy and my energy is so important. When I'm exhausted and tired, like, the last thing I want to do is attend a party, Yeah. But I still feel guilty about it. Like, I think I mentioned this in previous episodes, but I hate feeling guilty for not wanting to go to a social event. And I'm honestly slowly trying to learn not to care about that. But at the same time, I don't want that to lead people into thinking that I don't care about them. It just simply means that I care about myself too, and need to take care of myself mentally and physically, because your mental state affects your physical well-being as well. So I hope that declining invites simply because you want to spend time alone becomes part of the norm in our society, as I said earlier, because it definitely has been a struggle. That's why I think that's another thing introverts are grateful for, or are grateful for, during this quarantine. Then, of course, I went to Reddit. I go to Reddit a lot to think of podcast ideas and just random stuff in general. I do follow the INTJ and Introvert subreddits. Someone posted a thread about 2020 being one of the best years of their lives. And I honestly loved all the comments in there, because the comments were just filled with people who thrived in 2020, which was so great to hear, considering like 2020 still sucked. Like, even though it was really great for introverts, like I said earlier, there was still other stuff going on that obviously weren't ideal, like the social unrest and politics and the virus and all this other stuff were going on at the same time. But it's still nice to hear that people thrived in 2020. And I honestly really loved this subreddit, and I kind of wish I saved the link, because, well, I will try to look for it and I will try to link it. Okay, I found it. Anyways, so I am looking at it right now, and I did write some notes, but I wanted to read some of the comments because there's some new ones actually. So some of them are a lot of people just happy that they were able to work on themselves. Some people were saying that they got to have the alone time they've been craving, because they are just so used to being around people and having to be around people, whether that's work, family, friends, whatever. But now during the quarantine, they get to really have that true alone time that they don't normally or typically have. And in that time period, you get to like really just recharge and really think about your life and really think about yourself and really get to truly work on yourself and work on the things you want to work on. And a lot of people also were talking about like hobbies and stuff. And I'm just like skimming through it. And a lot of people also were saying how they feel guilty for feeling so good during this time because it's such a like awful time for other people. But I mean, that's kind of the great thing about it, is that there's still some good and some in all this bad, you know? I mean, yeah, I understand about feeling guilty, but if you can find something great during this time, like, don't feel guilty because you're working on yourself and because you're finding happiness within all this, you know? Someone also talked about how their anxiety and depression is much more manageable because they get to stay at home. And then someone was saying if it wasn't for like the pandemic, they wouldn't have been able to stop and take a break and figure out their real goals. And then someone was saying, let's see, this quarantine prevented them from doing something they weren't quite ready to do yet. And so, yeah, just all kinds of positives. Obviously, there's like a negative here and there, but quite honestly, a majority of the thread was positive. So this is on the Introvert subreddit. And again, I'll link that in the description so you can check that out, because it is definitely heartwarming to see other introverts like myself kind of enjoy the quarantine, even though everyone else is just having an awful time. And I feel bad for those people. But again, like it helped me do a lot of things, and it helped me refine a lot of skills, and helped me do all kinds of things I probably wouldn't have had the time or the energy to do if it wasn't for the quarantine. So go check that out if you want to read about it. And if you have read it and you're not following the Introvert Reddit, like subreddit, like you should follow it. It's awesome. It really helps to know there's like other like-minded individuals like yourself. So, you know, assuming you're an introvert listening to this podcast. Extroverts, I know extroverts have a subreddit too, because I don't follow it. Maybe I should follow it. But they do have one. However, the last time I looked at it, they were kind of complaining about introverts. So that's why I didn't follow it. But I don't know. I'll give them another chance and I'll look at it again. Because there's like one feed where it's like, why do introverts have the need to say that they're an introvert? And then that kind of pissed me off. So I got off that subreddit because I wanted to go on it specifically to look up some podcast ideas. And then that made me mad. But that was the only post I saw. So I didn't do my due diligence to read the rest of the sub. So I'm sure they're not all like that. And yeah. Anyways, go check out this introvert subreddit. Again, I'll link that specific thread in the description. And then I also checked out the INTJ subreddit. People are also thriving. There was a portion of time, a period of time, when people were showcasing their crafts and things they made. And it was pretty cool to see that like creative side of a INTJ, because people, you know, well, I don't know if you know, but INTJs are kind of, people describe them as like robotic or whatever. So it was cool to see that creative side, because again, that's a misconception that INTJs are robotic, emotionless human beings, but we do have a creative and emotional side. So go check out the INTJ page too, if you want to learn more about them. And if you're an INTJ, it's just like another great place to see other like-minded individuals as well. I really loved seeing all of the INTJ crafts and just hobbies in general. I think last year, not only was it the year for the introverts, but it's just the year for hobbies. Whether you're introvert or extrovert, like everyone got to focus on their hobbies, and it's really cool to see. Like my mom retired last year and she started up her garden. She loves gardening. She said in another life, she probably would have been a farmer. Unfortunately, She didn't get to live that life, but she gets to have a garden in her backyard, and she has a pretty good, decent sized backyard, but she is able to like grow like bitter melon and squash and tomatoes, and she has several fruit trees, and she has all kinds of stuff. And I love seeing that all those like different hobbies people either picked up or, had, but like refined their skills in. And it was just so great to see everyone's creative sides. Like, you don't always get to see that. People sometimes just don't have the time or the energy to do their hobbies because they are working. And then if you're working, there's a good chance that you're also commuting, and that takes up time as well, especially if you live far from work. And so all of that energy spent on work, commuting, and, other just typical adulting things like making dinner and whatnot. By the time you're done with all that stuff, sometimes you just don't have the energy or the time to really do any of your hobbies. But because of the quarantine, not everybody, sorry, I shouldn't say that, because there's people who still had to work and all that and go to work and stuff like that. But a lot of people got to do their hobbies and got to focus on that creative side of them. And it's really honestly crazy to see the creative potential humans have when they are given the time to explore that part of their brain. Because when people aren't like bogged down by their jobs and all that stuff that I said earlier, they really can do truly amazing things. And it makes you really wonder what the world would be like if we didn't have to worry about money, and if people can just focus on their true passions. I feel like it would just be a completely different world. And I feel like we would be able to come up with just amazing things, And I don't know, it's a cool world to imagine, and I highly doubt it'll ever come to fruition, but one can imagine. All right, so in conclusion, yeah, I do think 2021 is going to be another year for the introverts. We're not quite out of the woods, so we're still being told to quarantine and social distance. I mean, luckily we did get the regional stay-at-home orders lifted in California, but we're still considered in the purple tier. So if you're not in California, purple tier, I think it's like the worst you can be in. And so I looked at a map probably last month. I don't know what it's like this month. Maybe I'll check that out. But basically almost all of California, except for like a couple counties here and there, are in the purple tier. So I don't think much is going to change in the coming months. I think we're probably still going to be in this pandemic. They're slowly getting the vaccines out, and then I don't even know if people are going to take the vaccines. I know a lot of people are hesitant to do it because it's just so new and they're just like pumping it out. And there's not a whole lot of I don't know how it all works, but it is pretty fast in my opinion. It's pretty quick, and I don't know if there's enough testing or enough to know how bad the side effects can be. Obviously everyone is different and everyone reacts to vaccines differently. And I don't know. I guess the first round of people will be the guinea pigs, and we'll find out how bad it is, or if it's no side effects at all. So we're still in this pandemic. So I don't see much changing in 2021, unless someone can make a miracle cure. We'll see. So I think things will still stay for a while. I think the social distancing and the mask. I mean, Biden did what was he calling it? The 100 days mask challenge, which quite honestly, I don't understand because people wear a mask anyways. So what's the difference? I don't know. I gotta read into that because I literally just think it's just people wearing a mask for 100 days, right? That's all he's asking, but people are already doing that. So I don't know. Anyways, in general though, I do think we're basically moving into a more introverted world. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, obviously. So I guess I should say a more introverted America, because America is very extroverted and extroversion is highly praised. However, I do think a lot of the introverted habits society has picked up will continue to stay after the pandemic. Even though this probably sucks for half the population, I am excited to see what we as a society value that's introverted and decide to keep as part of our daily lives after the pandemic is over. Well, that's the end of the first episode of season 2. Again, thanks for coming back for more. If you enjoy what you hear and want to stay up to date on the show, please follow me on Facebook and or on Instagram. You can also check out my website at thetalkativeintrovertpodcast.com. All the information will be on there as well as in the description. Please help support the show by sharing it with your friends and family. And I'm excited to share what other ideas I have for season 2. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.